My name is John Peters Jr. They call me Jim. My father gave me that name to distinguish between the two of us. And I guess he knew before I did that I would be following his footsteps and working in Indian business for a long time.
Can you tell us about your nation?
I'm a member of the Wampanoag Nation, Mashpee tribe. We were one of the first Indian plantations in the country back in 1640s on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I believe we probably started a whole lot of the reservation concept. When the English came here, they believed that if you weren't Christian, you weren't human beings. So they went through this effort to make everyone, help convert people into Christianity. And it was kind of funny that being a minister was a new industry here in the New World, to convert these savages to human beings. And I'm a product of that. And I was born and raised in Mashpee, Mass. It's a Cape Cod town. And it's, when I think about it, it was deeded to us by the sachems of that area, and it was acknowledged by the colony, the Plymouth colony. And we lived on there. The deed says never to be sold or alienated unless we all agree. And the United States was formed, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts was formed, and our reservation remained there as a place for us to always be. And so, well, howdy.
Hello.
Welcome, Dee. We are being joined by Dee Bright Star, who is from the Abenaki Nation, and we're having a conversation with Jim from the Wampanoag Nation. And it's really wonderful to see you here and supporting the Wabanaki Confederacy. Dee, could you introduce yourself a little bit for us?
I'm Dee Bright Star, and a member of the Abenaki Nation, and I do medicine work. I'm an artist, do hospice work, but my favorite thing is working with the people and these gatherings. Confederacy event was pretty amazing for me, meeting all these wonderful people.
And then I find that too. And I'm glad I came up here. Kenny Alves and I, we're kind of partners in crime. We formed the Wampanoag Confederation in '95, and primarily to do repatriation. My father was a policeman in his earlier days, and people would be giving remains to him that they found here and there. And so as a kid, we were reburying them in different places. And that was before NAGPRA was a law. And my father, he was a contractor, and he found out that that kind of business, he grew up, like shaking hands, like, and that was your bond that and he found out in the contract world that wasn't true, and he kind of lost his shirt and everything else, and he followed his path, which was, he was a medicine man for the tribe, and he followed his path to become the executive director of the Massachusetts Commission on Indian Affairs, and he continued on working to rebury ancestors, and was instrumental in passing a law in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to an unmarked burial law that whenever a person is dug up, that they would call in the state archaeologist and the Commission on Indian Affairs to coordinate a reburial of those people. And my father passed away in '97, and I ended up getting that job, and I've been carrying that on, as well. And we do a whole lot of other things. I've been a tribal administrator. I've been a town planner, and I've done a lot of different things for, with our tribes, building constitutions, setting up tribal courts and things like that, or participating in that, and all of the nuances of of trying to build a tribal community, doing things with economic development. We put economic development corporations together, and they haven't got off the ground yet. We're dealing with the politics of that, but the actual language and the corporate structure, we did that. I worked on the Constitution the same way, and it's trying to put things in place. So when we do come around time to do things, these instruments are put in place. And then and through that process, you start to look at what we're all doing and the struggles we're going through. Earlier, I talked about the land that we had that was set aside for us. It was deeded to our people by the sachems of the land, and we go in. So we were the last community on the Cape that had hardwood left. They clear cut everything because that was the method of heating houses, and so they wanted our land, and so they eventually took it from us. And over the years, we struggled. I shouldn't say struggled. Our people ran when I was growing up, my people ran the government. They were the selectmen, the assessors, the town accountants. My mother was a town accountant. So they ran everything until they started developing in town, and there was a new wave of people building summer homes on Cape Cod, and it just went from 300 people to 600 people and to 1,000 people, and then just over the 10-year period we quadrupled. Like now it's like 25,000 people in our town in the year round, and probably 100,000 during the summertime. So it's we went through land claims back in the 70s, 1976, the anniversary of the United States, and we spent 40 days and 40 nights in federal court. The question wasn't whether the land rightfully belonged to us or not, or whether they took it illegally. It was they questioned whether we were a tribe to sue for the land under the 1789 Non-Intercourse Act, and so we produced the criteria that was used in Cherokee court case, and our judge says, well, that's not good enough. We need to have a little more stringent definition. So we ended up with an all-white jury to determine whether we were a tribe to sue for the land or not. And it was kind of funny, like people like Vine Delory was not considered an expert witness, and they got a professor who never done any research on Indians, became an expert witness and so forth. And I guess it was about potential bias or something like that. So anyway, the jury found that one year that we were a tribe, then we weren't a tribe, then we were a tribe again, and then we weren't, something like that. So it was very confusing, and actually a couple of them had testified that they were called and threatened. And so you figure the case should have been thrown out or something like that. But the judge said, you can be a tribe for any other purpose except for the returning your land. The consequences are too great. And I said, consequences to who? But those are the kind of things that you start to realize that the system isn't really designed for us to maintain our culture, or to be able to take care of our people in the manner that we should be able to. There are always other powers that are more in need than we are. Being one of the first contact tribes, and it's interesting. It's one of the reasons we came to the Wabanaki Confederation is people of the first light, and Wampanoag also means people of the first light. And they're a little closer to the sunrise than we are, but we are first contact people, and have endured that relationship for the past 400 years. And it's been very interesting at my age, to be able to sit back and look at that and read the history and meet people. Spending a lot of time with the descendants of the Mayflower and so forth. Their 400 years is coming up pretty soon, 2020. So we've been working with them, trying to prepare the commemoration of that date. and our position is that, well, we should really talk about the history, as it was, tell the truth about what happened, and our side of the story. How did it affect us? And there's a little squeamishness going on at this point, and we're not looking to throw mud in their face to that point. We just want to tell the truth and use historic first documentation in order to back up what we say. We're not going to use hearsay or anything like that. And just talk about history. And we always grew up as a communal people who lived with the land. We only used what we needed, and we only took what we needed, and nothing belonged to us as individuals. It belonged to the community. And they came here and saw all of these resources untouched, and became very wealthy by exploiting the resources, to the point that many things have become extinct. We have global warming and all kinds of other things that are going on at this point, and it shouldn't be. I mean, if we only use what we needed to use, it would have replenished itself, and it would have been able to continue to take care of us as a balance that is necessary. And with Mother Nature, we need to have respect for her, and she will have respect for us. And
Sure.
so
Yeah. And everything was sacred and still going on and refurbishing, and the circle of life was still happening before they came.
absolutely.
So, I mean, there's proof right there that we knew what we were doing in honoring Mother Earth and the gifts she gave us. And that needs to be more spoken in schools. The children and people in schools should know more about that, because they're not taught that
No, they're not. No.
at all.
We try to convey that somewhat, but it's not what's important in school. We fought for a number of years to get native curriculum in the school system, and we've done that in third graders. And it's mostly
Yeah.
about, and the Wampanoags met the Pilgrims, like that kind of thing, as opposed to something that is more meaningful to how we relate to the world.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, hopefully that'll change soon.
I hope so, but
It needs to be.
But as I look at how they treat Native nations throughout the country, throughout the hemisphere, it's becoming a more and more uphill battle. Actually, it's been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
We are becoming more educated and understanding better as to the rights that we have, and that they should be respecting those. And they're using actually blatant tactics to deny us those opportunities. Contracts and things like that you don't always understand until you read the fine print and find out, wow, you gave it away and you didn't know it, and they're going to hold you to it,
Yeah.
whether it's right or wrong. So those are the kind of situations that we are confronted with now, and that's kind of the reason I came here, to try to understand how the Confederacy here works, and we need something like that among our own people, so that we can all come together and help each other to become stronger.
That's very important, yeah. And the recognition process that we all have to go through to prove who we are and that we really are still here is very tiring, because we spend a lot of time fighting that instead of doing the important things like caring for the earth or our families.
Yeah.
It's a vicious struggle.
It is a vicious struggle. We spent 30 years going through the federal recognition process.
Yeah.
Because of our land claims court case, they rewrote the federal recognition criteria. We were upset with that, so we sued again, and we ended up with the same judge, and we got the same results. And I was like, so we ended up getting in the back of the queue, and we spent a whole lot of years waiting for our turn to get at bat again to prove, yes, we always have been here, and finally, 2007 we got recognized, but it really didn't matter, and that's one of the reasons we set up the Confederacy. We weren't a federal tribe, but we were pursuing our ancestors to take care of them. We were doing that anyway, so we partnered with the Gahadequina tribe on Martha's Vineyard, who were federally recognized, and we had another band, the Sonnet Band, who Ken Alves, who's here with me. and we've been pursuing our ancestors for the last 25 years, and we've put probably almost 1,000 people back in the ground somewhere, and wrote regulations, made relationships with the different museums, and we spent a lot of time in the museums. And I think one of the most important ceremonies that we're going to be doing in the very near future is returning Massasoit to his final resting place when she was taken out, and that just,
That's wonderful.
yes, it just, gee, you couldn't even leave him alone. You know, like after he welcomed you to this land and took care of you and all this other stuff, yeah, it's just like.
So where is he now?
We have him in a repository,
Okay, good.
along with 42 of his relations, and mostly trade goods that that was given to him by Europeans and so forth.
Do you have a place where you're putting them? Do you have a
Yes, very well. They've
specific
taken.
site?
Yes, Warren, Rhode Island is where his Solons is where he was, and it's now a bustling town on the waterfront in Narragansett Bay, and we're going to take him back there. And the town is, well, the town looks at it as their responsibility to receive him back, and we do too. So,
Sure.
and we expect to make it a national monument of a final resting place.
Great.
But I'm very honored to be here at the Abenaki Confederacy meeting and meeting the people here. Working in Boston and trying to work with the different tribes there, I realize that, I mean, we're all in the same situation, and we need to know each other better. So we're reaching out.
Yeah, and I think the Confederacy is perfect for that. We get to know each other and to be there for each other.
Yes.
And be supportive. And without this, it wouldn't happen. Even with technology, it's still, you need that personal touch of being together and knowing each other.
That's
so I think
quite
that's
true.
important.
Yeah, and we've known people. We've known like Passamaquoddies and Penobscots for many years before federal recognition. You know, like we've known them, and the people have changed. You know, we get older, and the new people step in, and we need to maintain those relationships and make them stronger, and try to do things together to help our kids know each other, so that we continue on that relationship for the future generations to come.
For sure. Yeah.
I have a question, and possibly both of you could answer this. If you had a choice, if you had, resources at your hands, and I mean like tools to use, what would be some of the most important things that you would want your people to learn or to be participating in?
You want to try that?
I guess the most important thing is our language. We need to perpetuate the teaching of our languages, and it's very difficult because schools don't teach it. And then if you have a group that are living close together and they're trying to teach their children, that's good, but it's not happening enough. It's not strong enough. And as we all know, you can't have a nation, you can't have people without the language, because that truly depicts how we feel and think in our spirituality. The words, a lot of the words can't be replaced by English words, and we need to learn our languages. So that to me would be really important. Little outcroppings, little gatherings, I don't know what it is, but of teaching our languages to children and to ourselves as adults. A lot of us don't know our language. I started learning it and then forgot it because I didn't have anyone to speak it with. So it's important. To me, that would be one of the important things, and also repatriation, which doesn't cost a lot of money, but that's really important to do because I've done that before, and going around to, like you say, museums and finding the ancestors there is pretty frightening. And so we've managed to put back a lot of folks, but it takes a lot of concentration, a lot of hard work, time and money, and communication with people to make them understand that, you know, our ancestors don't need to be on display under glass, that they need to be back where they belong. So those are my 2 priorities.
Yeah, and I work for the community. I was the tribal administrator in Mashpee for 15 years, and when we didn't have anything, you know, like, and I did social programs and things like that to try to bring in new projects and so forth. And I realized the need for our people are still there because of racism, I believe, because we weren't welcome anywhere else, so we all stayed in our community, and we're not part of the outside community that much, and the only people who are going to employ our people is ourselves. So we need to develop businesses and jobs and opportunities for them to be gainfully employed, to be able to take care of themselves, and be contributors, strong contributors in the community. And I believe that way we will become much stronger among ourselves, and language and things like that are important to us, but I think our stability is one of the most important things for us to be able to go into the future and perpetuate who we are, and continuing being strong about who we are, that we take care of each other. We're sovereign in that way, and you're not sovereign until you can actually take care of yourself. And we communicate through English. When we've been doing that for a long time, it was penalty of death, you know, like if we spoke our language. And we can learn that, but we also need to learn to take care of ourselves in this world. I mean, we've been on our land for 12,000 years, and have gone through many things, from hurricanes and droughts and Englishmen and America and everything else. So, and we're faltering at this point. We need to get stronger so that we can endure this part of our cycle of life. And so community development is one of the most important things that I feel that we need to do for our people.
It is important, and I've discovered through the years, getting to know my Abenaki brothers and sisters, that because of the eugenics, a lot of our people went into hiding, weren't educated, lost their self-esteem, and many of them couldn't reproduce because of the eugenics and the sterilizations that went on here. And as a consequence, a lot of Abenaki people are on welfare, disability, because they don't have any choice. They're on disability because they don't know who they are. A lot of them don't know who they are, and they have no self-confidence to go out and work. And we're not as close a community right now as perhaps you are. We're kind of spread out more, and that makes it harder. And so we can't even support each other financially or spiritually because we can't find each other half the time. So that's why I'm glad about the Confederacy meeting. And when I was in the grandmother's group, I said we need to make sure we all know how to reach each other, all of us ladies, and keep in touch and perpetuate what we've decided to do this time, and maybe even learn a little of each other's languages, a few words here and there, which is fun. That way we get to know each other. But the part about your helping each other in your finances and employment is really wonderful, and I wish that could happen more here. And Vermont's a hard place to live. It's very expensive, and jobs are nil. They're very hard to come by, so I wish that were better. Maybe someday we can figure it out.
Yeah.
In our closing couple minutes, would each of you again state who you are and your closing comments?
I'm Dee Bright Star, and member of the Abenaki Nation, and just saying welcome to Indakina, whoever watches this show. This is our land, and we're welcoming all our guests of the Confederacy, and it's been a beautiful week. Yeah.
And I'm Jim Peters. I'm a Mashpee Wampanoag. I'm the executive director of the Massachusetts Commission on Indian Affairs. I'm happy to be here. This is beautiful landscape here, and with the people from the Confederacy. It's been enlightening for me to hear very similar things that I've been going through, and our people have been going through, and that we have a lot in common, and I look forward to the future where we will be helping each other go through whatever ups and downs that we're going through in the future.
I want to thank you both for talking on community TV.
Thank you.